Hello and welcome to another year of Geoparks Live, where Charnwood Forest Aspiring Geopark brings you live stream coverage and discussion and debate from the UNESCO Executive Board in Paris, where we expect in the next hour or so there should be an approval of 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks. Now, it's important to be clear that Charnwood Forest is not going to be one of them. We are an aspiring geopark and we hope to get our application into UNESCO in the next few years. But this is one of our ways of showing our celebration and thanks to the UNESCO system and honouring those new geoparks all around the world that are getting their status this very day. We know that UNESCO systems and indeed all intergovernmental organisations can sometimes be a little confusing about how they work. So over the next hour or so, we're going to be guiding you through the processes of UNESCO, the Education, Science and Cultural Organisation of the United Nations, guiding you through those processes and explaining how a geopark has gone from its application through all of the processes to the final decision here today in the Executive Board. Now we can see, if I bring them on online there is Her Excellency the Chair of what's known as the FA Commission, and this is your first bit of understanding about how UNESCO works. We have the Executive Board, which is a subsection of all the member states of UNESCO, and it meets usually twice a year. And usually in this spring session, it approves new geoparks. Now, rather than the Executive Board debating all of the things together as a big body, they split up into groups known as commissions. And the two main commissions are the FA Commission, chaired by the lady on screen now, that deals with financial and administrative matters. And the one we're looking out for is the Programme and External Relations Commission, which we should hear a little bit from after the report that's being read by the lady on screen. So we'll bring you that as more news develops. Don't worry, if you're from an aspiring geopark, we're going to be bringing you that news of your new status as it breaks. And we're also going to be introducing some of the 16 new geoparks. We can see some of them there. There's the 16 new geoparks from around the world. They're from China, from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, from Ecuador, from Indonesia, from Italy, from Norway, the Republic of Korea, and also Saudi Arabia, Spain, the UK, and Vietnam. And we've got a few videos for you to watch along the way. But while we are waiting, let's just have a bit of a reminder of how the system works with geopark applications. Now, there'll be geoparks all around the world that are considering their applications right now, and they'll know that in the first instance, their application goes to UNESCO. It's then reviewed by IUGS, International Union for Geological Science experts, and two evaluators come and visit the year after application. After that has happened, the application is reviewed by the Global Geopark Council. These are geopark experts from around the world, and they make a recommendation as to whether an aspiring geopark that has applied is going to become a UNESCO Global Geopark. And that meeting usually happens in the September or December, the year after application. Now, that recommendation is not the final vote. That then goes to the UNESCO Executive Board, where the following spring, and over the past few weeks, the 16 proposed geoparks have been discussed first by the Programme and External Relations Commission. They discussed this earlier in the week, and they make a recommendation. So they have voted on a recommendation, but that is not the final vote. The final vote will happen today when all of the recommendations from that commission go to the full executive board. And that is what is happening currently in room 1 of the UNESCO HQ in Paris. All of the representatives of the member states that are on the executive board of UNESCO are meeting to go through the reports and the recommendations from all of the commissions, which you can kind of think of as a subcommittee, and then they're going to vote those through as a block of approvals. Fingers crossed, that's the way it normally happens. So what we're expecting to happen over the course of the next hour is, let's bring up the chair of the FA Commission now. She will be reading through her report of her commission's work earlier over the last few weeks, including the discussions that occurred and also the draft recommendations. Now, when it gets to her colleague, who is the chair of the what's known as the PX Commission, that Programme and External Relations Commission, that is when we should hear a little bit about UNESCO Global Geoparks, and we'll tune in and listen in at that point. And then when that full commission's work is approved by the executive board, that is when there will be 16 new geoparks. But while we're waiting, why don't we go on a little journey around the world to see from some of these new geoparks? And I want to start with you on a journey to Norway, to, in English, the Fjord Coast, UNESCO, soon to be UNESCO Global Geopark, which is spread over 1,480 kilometers squared of land and more than 3,000 kilometers squared of sea on the west coastline of Norway. It has heathlands and wonderful islands. The mountains that form this geopark are the result of the Caledonian orogeny between 425 and 395 million years ago. And they provide an invaluable archive for researchers to understand the processes happening deep underground in modern mountain ranges like the Himalayas. But less of me talking, let's take a look.
Ved kysten av Norge, så langt vest den kommer i landet, ligger det 4 kommuner der folk samarbeider om å ta vare på et særeige og gammelt kulturlandskap. Bakgrunnen for samarbeidet er at lokale ildsjeler i Solund, ytterst i Sognefjorden, i 2012 tok et initiativ til å etablere en regional park. Parkkonseptet kan bli sett på som en bygdeutviklingsmodell, der parken fungerer som en plattform for bærekraftig utvikling og samarbeid på tvers av ideelle og kommersielle interesser. I 2020 smelter Sognefjorden kystpark og et geologiprosjekt med utspring i Hyllestad sammen til Norges første kombinerte regional- og geopark. Den har som mål å bli en UNESCO Global Geopark innen 2025.
Her i Ytre Sogn har vi en helt spesiell geologisk arv. Altså her hadde vi for 400 millioner år siden kanskje verdens høyeste fjellkjede. Det er ingen andre plasser på jorda hvor du kan studere en fjellkjedes vekst og fall så godt som her. Det er veldig spennende å være med og være pionerer på det området. Og vi føler jo veldig at vi har norske parker i ryggen til å hjelpe oss med den erfaringen og kompetansen som de har fra før.
What a wonderful geopark, and fingers crossed for the Fjord Coast Geopark in Norway. Now, today you will see a quite unusual event at the Executive Board because there are two geopark matters on the agenda. Not only are the Executive Board discussing 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks, but there is also a short item discussing the operational guidelines of the UNESCO Global Geoparks. These are the rules by which everyone has to abide by and follow when they are a UNESCO Global Geopark, and it also is the rules for how the application process occurs. Now, just as a reminder, you might be remembering this time last year when there was a little bit of drama in the Executive Board, because as well as approving the new geoparks, the Executive Board added an amendment to the motion saying that there needed to be a review of the operational guidelines. This was because a number of the member states of UNESCO were clearly wanted things to be reviewed and see what was happening, and they undertook to start a working group. Well, there will be a motion after the geoparks discussion point. They will be discussing that comprehensive review and update of the operational guidelines, and there you can see the proposed text that they will be voting on later today, noting that the working group has not been able to complete its work and that they are encouraging it to do so really rather quickly. So it'll be interesting to watch as that discussion occurs as well. I should say, for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions about how UNESCO is working, anything to do with geoparks, you can write that in the chat and we'll try to get back to you. We always love to hear where you're joining us from, and all the best to those of you who are joining us who are hoping to hear good news about your geopark today. I can see that the chair of the FA Commission is still speaking. This is to be expected. It's a long body of work that commission looks at, and so we'll still be waiting a little while yet until we see the PX Commission. And while we're waiting, why not hear a little bit more about our geopark here in Charnwood Forest? Here's a little story from BBC News a few years ago about one of our newest fossil finds.
Now, a fossil found in rock in Charnwood Forest in Leicestershire could be evidence of one of the earliest predators that ever lived 560 million years ago. Paleontologists say it pushes back their understanding of modern animal groups like jellyfish by 20 million years, as Victoria Hicks reports.
560 million years ago, Charnwood Forest sat at the bottom of a deep ocean on the sides of a series of volcanoes, and it's here where this earliest known animal predator would have lived. How significant is this find?
Well, the early history of animal life is very poorly understood, and that's mostly because there are very few fossils preserved at that time. This fossil pushes back one of the modern groups of animals by 20 million years further back into time, and that's the group that included the sea anemones, the jellyfish and the corals.
It's understood this specimen lived in shallower water than other fossils found here. It's different from anything else found around the world because it has a skeleton with densely packed tentacles.
So we know that the animal had a stalk and a cup, and on top of that, or within that cup, was a polyp, very much like a sea anemone with lots of tentacles that it used to catch food.
This fossil has been named Aurora Luminae attenborough after Sir David Attenborough, who used to hunt for fossils here as a child in Charnwood Forest. Interestingly though, he said he never went looking for fossils in the rocks where this one was found because they were considered so ancient they dated from before life began on this planet. That all changed in 1957 when a schoolboy found this fern-like impression. It turned out to be one of the oldest fossilised animals, Charnia masoni, further establishing Charnwood Forest as a world-class site for paleontologists.
For the first time, we're able to say at 560 million years ago, there was a group of animals that looked just like modern animals, that had skeletons, that were predators and that were colonial. There were lots of them living together. That's a really, really big thing.
Victoria Hicks, BBC East Midlands Today, Charnwood.
There we go, a little bit about Aurora Lumina attenborough, the oldest crown group cnidarian fossil ever discovered so far. And also the absolute oldest predatory animal fossil ever discovered. Going back live to Paris, we can see that Madame Présidente of the FA Commission is continuing her presentation. I might be wrong, but I believe she is the ambassador to UNESCO from Lithuania. All of these commissions are chaired by ambassadors from various countries on the executive board, and we'll see some of those as the discussion continues. But back to our list of wonderful geoparks that are hopefully today going to get their approval. Let's take a journey to Vietnam, where Lang Son Geopark is hopefully getting its approval as a UNESCO Global Geopark today. It occupies a fairly mountainous and high area, and it's sandwiched between two fragments of the ancient Gondwana supercontinent. The region has rich and complex history of tectonic processes, and notably is located at the site of ancient tectonic collision between the Indochina and South China plates around 245 million years ago. This has, of course, given it some stunning scenery, which we're going to see now. Wow, what an amazing geopark. Clearly a place where geology and culture comes together, as it should in all UNESCO Global Geoparks. We will keep our journey around the world of new geoparks going. Let's go to Indonesia next with the Maratus Geopark. Which has an area of around 3,600 kilometers squared, with its highest peak being nearly 2 kilometers above sea level. It has limestones deposited underwater between 365 and 16 million years ago that have been uplifted, and some dissolution of those limestones, dissolving the limestones, has made fantastic karstic landscapes. And then there's alluvial sediments from the last million years. There's ancient seafloor from 198 million years ago. And ophiolites, this is where the crust under the sea has been heaved onto the land, a relatively rare occurrence globally, and it seems like Maratus in Indonesia have a few of them. Let's have a little journey over to see their geopark. Welcome back to Geoparks Live 2025. My name's Jack Matthews from the Charnwood Forest Aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark, where we're hoping to bring you live coverage of the UNESCO Executive Board's 221st session. And we're expecting 16 new geoparks to be approved today. There you can see the chair of the FA Commission, the Finance and Administration Commissions, giving her report, the report of her commission, to the full Executive Board. Once she has finished her report and draft recommendations, the Executive Board will be voting on that, and then hopefully we should hear from the so-called PX Commission, the Programme and External Relations Commission, where the important geopark business will be discussed. Now, it's important to remember that as we bring in the audio at some stage from Paris, UNESCO has 6 official languages: Chinese, Russian, Arabic, English, French, and Spanish. So you may hear a live translation of whatever the speaker is speaking in. So be prepared for that. Now, while she's still speaking, just a reminder that Charnwood Forest is an aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark in the heart of the English Midlands. We're an aspiring geopark, so not applying quite yet. In the next few years, we'll put our application in, and we're not going to be seeing more about Charnwood Forest in the UNESCO deliberations today, but mainly in the future. We like to hold this event to celebrate the new geoparks and show our support for the UNESCO system. Thank you to everyone who's joining us live from around the world today for this Geoparks live coverage of the Geopark discussions at the UNESCO Executive Board. It's lovely to have you. As always, we love to hear where you're joining us from, so do put that in the comment section and it should pop up on my screen. And also, if you've got any questions, you can put them in the comment and we will try our very hardest to get those answered for you. Now, I think we will take a little journey to Spain, which has already a lot of geoparks compared to many European nations. And after today, they might have another one. The Costa Quebrada Geopark spans 345 square kilometres of rolling hills and river valleys on the central coast of Cantabria in northern Spain. Its geology includes its oldest rocks are around 240 to 200 million years ago and contain domes of salt minerals that formed due to extensive evaporation of seawater. And they've got karstic caves and many other things. And some of their caves have archaeological remains which have led them to be inscribed on the World Heritage List. So let's go for a slightly longer tour of the Costa Quebrada Geopark, hopefully soon to be a UNESCO Global Geopark, in Spain.
Hola, mi nombre es Costa Quebrada. Me descubrió Jesús Mojas, el poeta, disfrutando de mis playas y sin tener consciencia apenas de lo que subyace debajo de mi natural belleza. Fui testigo del encuentro de Jesús con Antonio Cendrero, el geólogo. Ambos coincidieron en mi playa de Somocuevas. Sobre sus arenas fui testigo de cómo surgía entre ellos una amistad. Una profunda amistad que unió a las ciencias y a las humanidades. A lo largo de los años me han visitado científicos, investigadores, descubridores, buscando entre mis pliegues exóticas bellezas escondidas. Yo era muy tímida y tan solo me descubría en la playa en el momento del baño. Ahí se podía apreciar todo lo que no queda oculto bajo las aguas del mar Cantábrico o recubierto por frondosos bosques y praderías. Solo aquel poeta y aquel científico fueron capaces de descubrirme. Y todavía no sé por qué me llamaron Costa Quebrada. Un aciago día de primavera, hace ya más de 20 años, me teñí de negro. Mis hermosos colores se volvieron opacos y la tristeza cubrió mis pliegues. La respuesta social no se hizo esperar. Todos acudieron a mi llamada de auxilio y prestos comenzaron a limpiarme y a devolverme mi primitivo esplendor. Santa Justa, Los Locos, Los Caballos, Somocuevas, Covachos, El Bocal. Aquel grupo de jóvenes siguió creciendo y cristalizó en la asociación Costa Quebrada, que me cuida y protege. Ya tengo muchos años y lo necesito. El tramo comprendido entre San Juan de la Canal y la Marisma de Miengo han sido incluidos en el catálogo de Global Geosites, que reúne los lugares geológicos más relevantes del mundo, con el nombre de Dunas de Liencres y Litoral Costa Quebrada. Situado entre la bahía de Santander y Punta Calderón, en Santillana del Mar, y que comprende 8 municipios: Santander, Camargo, Santa Cruz de Bezana, Piélagos, Miengo, Polanco, Suances y Santillana del Mar. Por cierto, ¿recordáis por qué soy un geoparque? Porque en mí confluyen 3 hechos. Soy un área geográfica única. Atesoro paisajes de importancia geológica de relevancia internacional. Además, desarrollo un proyecto de educación y un plan de desarrollo sostenible con un concepto marcadamente holístico. Nuestra organización gira en torno a la participación, educación, sensibilización, inclusión, investigación, conservación, divulgación y turismo. Y es que poseo una variedad de formaciones geológicas que incluyen marismas, playas reflexivas y disipativas, acantilados, ensenadas y mucho más. En mí alberga un valioso patrimonio cultural, desde las famosas cuevas de Altamira hasta el emblemático Mupac. Una iniciativa de la sociedad civil, un plan de implantación progresivo. Tengo mucho que descubrir y por disfrutar, desde explorar las antiguas cuevas y museos, como la Cueva del Pendo, el Pozo Tremeo y el Museo Etnográfico de Cantabria, hasta participar en emocionantes actividades al aire libre, como el surf, las traineras, la escalada o el kayak, o aventurarse en el bolo palma, adentrarte en el submarinismo. Además, puedes disfrutar de productos locales, ir a restaurantes y disfrutar de la gastronomía de kilómetro cero, así como hospedarte en los alojamientos de los municipios. Ya me encuentro fatigada. Tan solo quiero despedirme de vosotros. No nombro a ninguno, pero me acuerdo de todos. Sé quiénes sois. Atentamente, Costa Quebrada.
Welcome back to Geoparks Live. I'm now pleased to say that His Excellency, the Chair of the PX Commission, is presenting his report. Now, he's got a lot of business to get through until we get to the Geoparks point, which means that while I'm talking to you, I'm also listening to him, and we'll bring him in live when he gets to the Geopark business. Before we do that, let's go for a little journey to Ecuador, to the Tungurahua Geopark, volcano geopark, which is in Ecuador. It is a fantastic landscape full of volcanoes. The remnants of a Cretaceous island arc overlain by lower tertiary volcanic and volcaniclastic rocks. Let's learn from it by watching, much better than the explanation that I could give you. Let's have a little journey for a few minutes to Ecuador.
Existe un espacio geográfico que alberga un patrimonio geológico único. Un lugar fantástico, donde nos conectamos con la naturaleza de manera sustentable. Este es el Geoparque Volcán Tungurahua. Su territorio está ubicado en el país más megadiverso por kilómetro cuadrado, Ecuador, en las provincias de Chimborazo y Tungurahua, en los cantones Huánuco, Penipe, Pelileo, Patate y Baños. ¿Qué es el Geoparque Volcán Tungurahua? Es un territorio de relevancia mundial que posee un patrimonio geológico de gran valor y favorece a un estilo de vida humana, sostenible y amigable con el entorno. Nuestro fin es impulsar acciones que promuevan la investigación de las ciencias de la Tierra, la geoconservación, la geoeducación y el geoturismo. Todos unidos, contigo y nuestros geoamigos, nos proyectamos a un futuro mejor, apoyando y generando oportunidades a la industria local y artesanal con igualdad de género. Gestionemos el patrimonio geológico de manera respetuosa, con protección y desarrollo sostenible. Te invitamos a valorar nuestra cultura, las expresiones artísticas y tradiciones, sintiéndonos orgullosos de nuestro territorio y de lo que somos. Surge para promover el desarrollo sostenible con bajo impacto ambiental en áreas geográficas, únicas y unificadas, en conexión con su patrimonio natural y cultural. Geoparque Volcán Tungurahua. Vive la naturaleza.
Wow, that seemed like an amazing adventure you can go on there in the Tungurahua, soon to be UNESCO Global Geopark in Ecuador. We can now see that the Programs and External Relations Commission is discussing issues including the UNESCO Framework for Culture and Arts Education and the UNESCO Global Alliance Against Racism and Discriminations. Those draft recommendations are being read through as we speak, live in Paris. As soon as they get to the Geopark proposals, we will bring that to you. But before we get to that, let's go a little bit more broadly than geoparks alone. October the 6th is now known as UNESCO International Geodiversity Day, a great opportunity to celebrate all of the many aspects of the abiotic parts of nature and their influence and importance to society. Well, a few years ago, the Polish government made a fantastic video, and let's have a little watch of that.
Dear Grandma, this morning I received your letter. I do not have all the answers yet, but I think I know where to start looking. Yours truly, Frankie.
Do you ever stop to wonder where the rocks you stand on come from?
You sent me to search for a place where the water captured the rainbow. I didn't think it was real. From here, I must find the kingdom of forgotten fire.
Remember, look too closely at the trees and you might not see the forest. Look for slumbering giants that hide in plain sight.
Two worlds colliding, seeing backwards through layers of time.
As you begin to look at the world with new eyes, you will start to find details that will amaze you.
You told me about a place where all roads must end, a place where I couldn't go any further. I think I found it. Thank you, Grandma.
welcome back to Geoparks Live 2025, bringing you live coverage and commentary from the 221st session of the Executive Board of UNESCO. We are expecting probably in the next half an hour for 16 new geoparks to be approved. And if you're joining us, wherever you're joining us from, do share that in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions as well, you can share those with us. Just as a reminder, we're here from Charnwood Forest Aspiring Geopark. We haven't got our application into UNESCO at the moment, but we hope to in the next few years. And we like to run Geoparks Live as an opportunity to celebrate the Geopark international family and the 16 new people who will be joining it today. And there are their names. We'll bring you that live as that progresses. But I just talked about Charnwood Forest, where we're from. If you'd like to find a little bit more about that, then why not watch this lovely video made by one of our local councils.
It's time to discover Charnwood. Perfectly located right in the centre of the country and enjoying superb transport links, there is no better place to visit, work and live. For nearly 600 million years, the powerful forces of nature have been sculpting our breathtaking landscapes. Evidence of our unique geological history is scattered among picturesque villages and can be experienced up close in the rocks of Bradgate Park and Beacon Hill. Such is the importance of Charnwood Forest, it is now an aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. At the heart of this dramatic landscape is the dynamic university and market town of Loughborough, home to the last major bell foundry in the UK, 800-year-old markets and the Great Central Heritage Railway. In Charnwood, we are proud of our past and excited for our future. Our award-winning Loughborough University and cutting-edge science and enterprise parks are leading world-class research, innovation and sport, and nurturing the stars and heroes of future generations. Discover Charnwood, a fascinating destination promising a non-stop voyage from ancient origins to future potential. In Charnwood, we are shaping tomorrow's world today.
Welcome back to Geoparks Live. The Chair of the Programme and External Relations Commission is continuing to give his report. We're getting closer to that moment when they will be discussing UNESCO Global Geoparks. Now, some of you in the audience may be new to the concept of UNESCO Global Geoparks, one of the 3 area-based designations that UNESCO gives to places. Of course, the very famous World Heritage Sites, but also the biosphere reserves and the global geoparks. And what better to learn more about the UNESCO Global Geoparks than by having a quick watch of one of UNESCO's very own videos. So here to provide you with a whistle-stop tour of everything about UNESCO Global Geoparks is the official UNESCO video.
Since 1972, UNESCO has been making a contribution to peace building and sustainable development in its member states, thanks to its unique remit in earth sciences. What is a UNESCO Global Geopark? They are the most recent UNESCO site designations for protecting geological sites of international significance. The 195 members of UNESCO ratified the creation of a new UNESCO label, the UNESCO Global Geoparks, on the 17th of November 2015. The decision was taken by member states at UNESCO's General Conference, the governing body of the organisation. This expressed governmental recognition of the importance of managing outstanding geological sites and landscapes in a holistic manner. As of 2021, there are 161 UNESCO Global Geoparks in 44 countries. So how do we distinguish UNESCO Global Geoparks from UNESCO World Heritage Sites and UNESCO Biosphere Reserves, which are the other two prestigious labels of UNESCO site designations? The UNESCO Global Geoparks are sites and landscapes of international geological significance as independently verified by scientific professionals. It's important that they're identified as single, unified geographical areas. They cannot be made up of separate, smaller areas within a region. They will typically have a multitude of sites of specific interest and must be contained within the designated area. Within the geopark, there will be links between the area's geological heritage and its natural, cultural, and intangible heritage. So in a region, local people will celebrate their unique geological heritage and combine those features with their rich cultural heritage, their landscape, wildlife, food, people, storytelling. Each one combined is used to promote the region's Earth history. So what are the advantages of UNESCO Global Geoparks for UNESCO member states? A UNESCO Global Geopark uses its geological heritage in connection with all other aspects of the area's natural and cultural heritage to enhance awareness and understanding of key issues facing society, such as using our planet's resources sustainably, reducing the impact of natural disasters, mitigating the effects of climate change. The key to solving these issues is that the UNESCO Global Geoparks should use that heritage in connection with all other aspects of that area's natural and cultural heritage to promote awareness of key issues facing society in the context of the dynamic planet we all live in, including, but not limited to, increasing knowledge and understanding of geoprocesses, geohazards, climate change, the need for the sustainable use of Earth's natural resources, the evolution of life, and the empowerment of Indigenous peoples. They'll be managed with a holistic concept of protection, education, and sustainable development. The creation of innovative local enterprises, new jobs, and high-quality training courses is stimulated as new sources of revenue are generated through geotourism, whilst the geological resources of the area are protected. By raising awareness of the importance of the area's geological heritage in history and society today, UNESCO Global Geoparks give local people a sense of pride in their region and strengthen their identification with the area. If you would like to become part of UNESCO's Global Geoparks family, please contact us.
Welcome everyone back to Geoparks Live 2025, bringing you coverage of the UNESCO Executive Board's 221st session from Paris. It is 11:35 in the UK, 12:35 in Paris, and ambassadors will be wanting to go for their lunch in about 25 minutes. So we expect to get a final decision on the 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks in the next few minutes. Let's just bring the chair of the Executive Board onto the screen there. Sorry, the chair of the PX Commission, the Programme and External Relations Commission. This is a kind of subcommittee of the Executive Board. He is reading through the discussions that have occurred within his subcommittee and then the presenting the draft resolutions. Now, all of this still has to be voted on by the Executive Board before it is approved, and the geopark discussions are within the purview of his commission. So there are actually two geopark things on the agenda today: the 16 new geoparks and also discussion of the comprehensive review of the operational guidelines. So we're expecting more geopark discussion at today's Executive Board than we normally get. Let's just listen in for a moment just to work out where they are in the agenda, and then I might be able to guide you about how long we might have to wait. Let's listen in for a moment.
The Commission then examined item 5.1a on the update on the UNESCO Associated Schools Network ASPNet. After the introduction by the DG's representative, 25 members and 5 observers took the floor. They commended efforts to revitalize ASPNet through the new digital platform, improved communication, a streamlined application process, and the finalized strategic framework for action. They emphasized the need for national coordinated to...
Very good. I think we have time for a few more discussions. We can see that at the moment they're discussing a motion on UNESCO Associated Schools Network. Then there is some discussion on how UNESCO celebrates various anniversaries, the status of teachers, the safety of journalists, and the memory of the World International Register. And then we should be hearing about geoparks, as long as they've stayed in the order that they announced that they would. While we are waiting, let's take a little journey to Indonesia to visit the Kebumen Geopark, which is one of the ones that should be approved today. A fantastic place, and let's take a little journey.
Ler iler kangkung sapu kala cinde lir gumantung paman-paman.
UNESCO Global Geoparks. This item was also considered without debate, and the decision was recommended for adoption after the introduction by ADG for Sciences and the vote by show of hands requested by one member. One observer thanked the members who voted in favor of the item, underlining that geoparks bring together local communities in promoting education, environmental protection, and livelihoods. The next item was item 5.1f on the safety of journalists and the issue of impunity.
So there we have it. The chair of the PX Commission has just introduced the item, but it hasn't yet been approved. He needs to complete the points that he is presenting. We'll stay with him on screen there, and I'm listening in. We'll bring him back in, but you can see that he presented the proposal for the 16 new geoparks that was voted upon, and after a show of hands votes. Unusually, there has been a lot of votes at this executive board. That is mainly because of the United States has taken a position that it won't support any proposals that refer to a set of things, including the Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 30 and other UN initiatives. And so there's been a lot of actual votes rather than things passing by consensus. We're going to keep with the PX Commission here, both because we want to see the final approval. That will be the moment when 16 new geoparks are approved, but also because we want to pick up on agenda item 10, which is the comprehensive review and update of the operational guidelines for UNESCO Global Geoparks. A reminder that nothing is approved until the draft proposals and report of the PX Commission has been voted on. He's now speaking about agenda item 5.1f, which is a discussion point around the safety of journalists and the issue of impunity. I think he might return to agenda item 10 soon, so we'll stay with that. A reminder that these 16 geoparks that were proposed today have gone through a very long multi-year process. Many of these applied several years ago. They will have gone through their IUGS and UNESCO Global Geopark on-site evaluations. Then there will have been a discussion at the the Global Geopark Council in September and December of last year. Then that proposal went forward to the PX Commission of the UNESCO Executive Board, and that is what the chair is presenting now. Hopefully this plenary session will approve that. We will expect it to be accepted just by acclamation, just by consensus. We're not expecting a vote, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes people, both members of the executive board and observers, bear in mind that not all UNESCO members are members of the executive board, sometimes do like to take the floor after the passage of these proposals with new geoparks, just to say thank you to everyone and highlight their new geopark. So we'll stay with the executive board after the vote, just to find out if anyone does give a little speech about their new geopark. That would be lovely to see. So going back in.
Of the operational guidelines for UNESCO Global Geoparks. After the introduction by the DG's representative, one delegation took the floor to explain its proposed amendment, highlighting the importance of geoparks in protecting nature and cultural heritage. They raised concerns about challenges in the operational guidelines that could impact the program's long-term credibility and sustainability, and regretted the open-ended working group's inability to conclude its work due to insufficient engagement from some parties. The delegation expressed confidence in the open-ended working group co-chair's leadership and called for the open-ended working group mandate to be extended to the next board session, also encouraging member states to make voluntary contributions. The Commission recommended that the draft decision be adopted with amendments. The Commission then examined item 11 on UNESCO's action for indigenous peoples. Following.
So there we have it. We've had the two geopark items now proposed by the chair of the Programme and External Relations Commission, who's on the screen now. He's just introducing now the final few points of his committee's work. Which includes the UNESCO's actions for indigenous peoples, proclamation of the International Day for Small Island Developing States, proclamation of the International Day of Engagement in Science for Sustainable Development, World Greek Language Day, and International Tajiquan Day. Those are the final matters being discussed. Most of those matters were proposed to the Executive Board for acceptance without debate. So we're expecting him to move through those really rather quickly. We, of course, want to bring you, though, the moment when those 16 geoparks are approved, you'll see at that moment that the proposal will turn to the chair of the Executive Board, Her Excellency the Ambassador to UNESCO from St. Lucia. You'll see her in the chair, and when the gavel comes down, that is the moment that 16 new geoparks have been approved. We will keep an eye on that and bring you that information as soon as it happens. While we're waiting, let's just have a reminder of the 16 geoparks from around the world that are up for UNESCO Global Geopark status today. They're on the screen there. We have representatives in the geopark family from China, from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, 2 from Ecuador, 2 from Indonesia, 1 from Italy, Norway, 2 from the Republic of Korea, 2 from Saudi Arabia, Spain, the UK, and Vietnam. And it should be noted that several countries today will be getting their very first UNESCO Global Geopark, including congratulations to Saudi Arabia and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, getting their first UNESCO Global Geoparks. Congratulations to them. But we're still waiting for a few more moments, waiting for His Excellency to complete the report of the PX Commission, and then we'll know that we've got 16 new geoparks. While we are waiting, let's have a very quick video about one of our newest fossil finds in Charnwood Forest.
A fossil representing the earliest known animal predator has been identified by UK scientists. The 560 million-year-old specimen was found in Charnwood Forest in Leicestershire. The outline of the 20-centimetre tall creature was imprinted on a long, sloping slab of quarry siltstone. It's probably the first example of an organism with a true skeleton, and because of its shape, scientists believe it's related to the group of species that today includes jellyfish. Researchers have named it Aurora Lumina Attenborough in honour of Sir David Attenborough.
That was the main BBC Evening News covering the fantastic fossil find of Aurora Lumina Attenborough from Charnwood Forest Geopark, hopefully applying to join the UNESCO family in the next few years. They are now, I can see, at the UNESCO HQ Room 1. His Excellency, the Chair of the PX Commission, is introducing the final 4 proposals that cover the body of work that his commission was set to review, which means we might expect in the next perhaps 4 or 5 minutes to hear the final vote of the PX Commission, and at that point there will be, just like that, 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks. We're going to wait to see after that if any ambassadors, representatives of the Executive Board, or indeed observers at the Executive Board take the floor to make any statements. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does, and we'll bring you that coverage if they're speaking and celebrating their new UNESCO Global Geopark. We've also got a few more videos to show you that celebrate some of the new, soon-to-be new UNESCO Global Geoparks. You might notice that some places have already done publicity for their new geoparks. That's because it's just so difficult to understand what's happening that some people interpret the vote of the PX Commission that happened a few days ago as the approval. But it's important to remember that nothing is approved by UNESCO until it has been accepted by what's known as the plenary meeting, that final plenary, when all of the subcommittees report on what they've discussed and all of that is voted on. The gavel comes down, the little wooden hammer, and that is the point that all of these proposals are accepted and become resolutions of the UNESCO Executive Board. You can see there that many of the signs are in French, and the 2 major working languages when they're working on the text, they debate the text of these proposals in English and French, but there are 6 official languages of UNESCO: English, French, Spanish, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. And therefore, when we hear the audio from Room 1 of the UNESCO HQ in Paris, you might hear live translation into English, which is what we're tuned into the English channel here today. Welcome to all of you who are joining. It's 11:52 in the UK, 12:52 in Paris, and ambassadors will want to round out this piece of work very soon so they can go and have their lunch. If you're joining us from around the world, do pop where you're joining us from in the comments. We love to hear from you. And indeed, if you've got any questions, please do ask them. We're tuning in live, watching the chair of the PX Commission, the Programme and External Relations Commission, which is a kind of subcommittee of the Executive Board, presenting the report, which includes the proposal for 16 new geoparks. We're just waiting for him to finish his report. He's already spoken about the discussions that happened on both the 16 new geoparks and the comprehensive review and update of the operational guidelines for UNESCO Global Geoparks. And in a moment, he will wrap that up into one big package with all of the other proposals that the PX Commission has discussed, and that will be voted on. And that will be the moment that 16 new geoparks are approved, as long as no one votes against it, or indeed as long as no one proposes an amendment. But that would be very, very rare. It's important to note that while on screen you might be seeing him down as President, that is the French translation for chair. So Monsieur le Président is the same in English as chair. And I think we are getting to the final representative, with the final proposal is being discussed now, International Tajikwan Day. When this is done, Mr. Chairman will probably thank all the staff that supported the PX Commission and his deputy chairs, and then we should turn to the full chair of the Executive Board for the final vote. Let's just tune in there. I think we're hearing about what happened with the final vote, and then we should hear more about the final recommendation of 16 new geoparks and all of the other proposals of the PX Commission.
Member States' political ideology. Dear Chair, dear colleagues, I've come to the end of my report. The decisions are in document 221X49. Let me thank the distinguished PX Commission members. Your determination and consideration were essential in helping us to achieve results in record time. I hope that by next session, we will have had time to practice our button-pushing skills so that we can take advantage of technology to further streamline our processes. I'm also grateful to the temporary chair, Her Excellency Ambassador Regina Figlo of Austria, for her support and commitment. I thank the Secretariat and particularly the ADGs for having facilitated our decision-making. Thanks also to Mrs. Anna Paolini, Director of the Governing Body Secretariat, Mrs. Sofia Elacremi, Secretary of the Executive Board, for their support to our deliberations. Special thanks to our Secretary, Maya Makhlouf-Sazrasan, and her team, Faduma Ali, Patrice Bond, Tara Golkar, Ewan McQuaid-Jones, Elspeth McOmish, and Petra van Vugt-Thyssen. Many thanks also to the room clerks, interpreters, translators, typists, technicians, and others who ensure that our commission runs smoothly. Finally, let me thank all Executive Board members, especially you, Madam Chair, for your unwavering support to the success of our PX Commission. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for this very exhaustive report that tells us exactly what happened during this commission. I would like now to put this entire set of draft decisions as contained within document 221EX49 for adoption. If a member state wishes to examine a decision on the side, please raise your plate now. I see none, so may I consider that all the set of decisions of the PX Commission is adopted? adopted. I would like to thank both the President of the FA Commission and of the PX Commission for their hard work and efforts at the helms of these two commissions, and would now want to suspend our morning session and invite you all for the traditional family picture here on the mezzanine, you call this mezzanine? Right after I close this session. Thank you.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, joining us all around the world. 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks have just been approved. There we saw Madame le Président, the chair of the full executive board, bringing the gavel down on the proposals made by the Programme and External Relations Commission. You can see she's now trying to herd the ambassadors, their excellencies, so that they can have a big photograph. But the important point for the geoparks are that the proposal has been accepted, and there are now 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks in the world. Congratulations to all of them. We'll bring them on stage now, so you can see their names from China, from Ecuador, from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, from Indonesia, from Italy, from Norway, from the Republic of Korea, from Saudi Arabia, from Spain, the United Kingdom, and Vietnam. They are now fully UNESCO Global Geoparks. Congratulations to them. If you've just missed the last few moments, Her Excellency, the Ambassador for St. Lucia, sitting in the chair of the Executive Board, has brought the gavel down, and everyone on the Executive Board has agreed the 16 new geoparks. So congratulations to them. To finish off our little tour, visiting some of the new UNESCO Global Geoparks, we can say that now, all around the world, we're going to take a little trip to Arran for a fabulous video that highlights some of their wonderful, wonderful geology.
Arran, a small island on the west coast of Scotland, is home to some of our planet's biggest stories. Hidden in Arran's spectacular landscapes are the clues that take you on a journey through Earth's history and the evolution of life. Imagine walking alongside the footprints of prehistoric creatures that lived in giant forests, hiking over ancient volcanoes, or paddling past the places where the seabed once ripped apart.
It was on Arran in the summer of 1787 that James Hutton, a very famous Scottish geologist, visited this site, and he discovered the age of the Earth was not 6,000 years as previously thought. These days we think it's more like 4.6 billion years of age. The discovery of a giant millipede track was so amazing that Sir David Attenborough himself came here to have a look at this track.
The story of Arran's past begins over 500 million years ago, underwater south of the equator.
These contorted rocks, located in the north of the island, were once deposited in an ancient ocean. They tell us that as the Earth's tectonic plates came together, they crumpled all the layers, and as they did, they formed the Caledonian mountain chain, similar to the Himalayas of today. Now all we see is the remnant of a former mountain chain, worn away over time.
Travelling through time as you walk around Arran's coastal path, you can witness the continents moving and the climates changing. The rocks reveal Scotland's journey north over millions of years across the equator.
Along the beach between Corrie and Sannox, there are rocks made up of large pebbles. deposited by huge ancient rivers that carved up the mountain ranges. This was followed by a period of lush tropical climate at the equator. Imagine giant life forms around me and wandering through enormous forests of tree ferns up to 30 metres high. As time moved on, Arran's latitude became comparable to that of the Sahara. Large sand dunes dominated the landscape, as we can see from the rocks along the northeast coastline. In the south of the island, we can see where life continued to evolve with the footprints of a large reptile known as the handbeast or Chirotherum, an animal much like a Komodo dragon that came before the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs were here on Arran too, but evidence of these great beasts have been destroyed by its next chapter in history, the volcanoes.
Huge volcanic cliffs in the south of the island tell the story of Earth's continents moving apart towards the positions they are in today. Black rock cutting through the landscape was once molten lava, filling the cracks as Europe and North America tore apart. The volcanoes and granites that now make up Arran's stunning skyline pushed up through the older rocks, leaving the remnants of the past tropical and desert conditions on the coastline.
The shape of the spectacular mountains that we see today are a result of glaciation. It was only about 8,000 years ago the last permanent glaciers in our glens finally melted.
Just a glance at this landscape today shows you the impact that all of this ice had. Glaciers carved out vast U-shaped valleys, hollowed out huge armchair-shaped corries, and plucked boulders the size of buildings from the mountaintops and dumped them down by the coastline. These landforms are so shockingly dramatic that the locals named them after witches, giant warriors, and the devil himself. Ice lay about 600 metres deep across Arran, with only the hard granite mountaintops protruding. The weight of all this ice physically pushed the island down, and ever since it melted, Arran has been steadily bouncing back up again. And because the island is still rising, we've got coastlines complete with caves and arches and raised beaches found well above today's sea level.
It's these landscapes that then provided shelter for humans as our chapter of Earth history began. Every landscape has a story to tell, but Arran is a small island with a big story. Millions of years of Earth history packed into its magnificent scenery. On your next visit to Arran, take a moment to imagine yourself in the ancient deserts, jungles, and volcanoes. The landscape you enjoy tells the story of our planet and how we came to be here. It's our story. Arran, the little island with a big story.
Breaking news in the last few moments, and it's 12:05 in the UK, 1:05 p.m. in Paris at UNESCO HQ. 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks have just been approved by the UNESCO Executive Board. We extend our celebrations and congratulations to all of the 16 new UNESCO Global Geoparks from China, from Ecuador, from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, from Indonesia, Norway, Spain, from the Democratic Republic of Korea, from Saudi Arabia, from the UK, and also from Vietnam. It's important to recognise that today isn't just a procedural point, it isn't just a vote on policy in the UNESCO Executive Board. It is the culmination of years of work by staff and teams and communities who have worked so strongly, not only to celebrate and conserve their geological heritage, but to bring that together with education, with cultural heritage, with biodiversity, and with so many other things to build a geopark. Today is a day for them and for their celebrations at the culmination of all of their hard efforts. We particularly here at Charnwood Forest extend our congratulations to Arran, the newest UNESCO Global Geopark in the United Kingdom, and we very much look forward to celebrating with them in person later in the summer when they will be hosting the UK Committee for UNESCO Global Geoparks meeting. We're very much looking forward to that, and we send them our heartfelt congratulations to the Geopark team and also to all of the organisations that are represented there, to Malcolm, to Sheila and all of the others. Congratulations, you've been working on it for a very, very long time, and today is very, very much deserved. Just as a reminder of what's happened today, the UNESCO Executive Board is meeting in its final plenary session of the 221st session of the Executive Board in Paris. They have been going through the final reports of all of the subcommittees known as the commissions that were discussed. And just about 15 minutes ago, the gavel came down and they approved the recommendations and report of what's known as the PX Commission, the Programme and External Relations Commission. That included both the proposal for 16 new geoparks that you can see on the screen there, and also for the vote on agenda item number 10. This was about the comprehensive review of the UNESCO Global Geopark guidelines. The outcome of that vote is essentially that the review will continue and that the engagement of member states is sought. So if you think there's something that needs to change, or perhaps something that very much needs to stay the same in the UNESCO guidelines on global geoparks, then get in touch with your UNESCO National Commission, your representatives, and make sure your voice is heard on that review. We also want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been tuning in today. It's lovely that you're joining us, and if you let us know where you're joining from today. Pop us a comment, and then we'll see where you're joining us from today. Congratulations to you. We have a few other bits to bring you, just as a reminder, because the UNESCO Global Geopark journey doesn't end today. There are 16 new ones, but many are up for re-evaluation this year. And indeed, we now know the list of geoparks that are potentially going to be evaluated this year, and we can bring you that list now. So these are the 11 UNESCO Global Geopark applications that will be evaluated in 2025. These are the ones that will be going out to the IUGS experts to review their internationally significant geological heritage, and 2 UNESCO Global Geopark evaluators will be attending these as well. We can see we've got 2 from China, 1 from France, 1 from Japan, 2 from Malaysia, 1 from Oman, the Al Hajar Geopark. That would be the first UNESCO Global Geopark from Oman, if that is proposed. Algarvensis in Portugal already with a number of UNESCO Global Geoparks, but Algarvensis, very prominent at European Geopark Network conferences and meetings, always lots of wonderful presentations about their geology. So I am sure they will be sharing that with their evaluators. We have another application coming in from the Republic of Korea. They've had 2, I think, was it 2 geoparks approved today? They've got another one being proposed this year. Dahar Geopark from Tunisia, that would be Tunisia's first UNESCO Global Geopark, and it would be I believe I'm right in saying the third, I think, in Africa. And then Uruguay has another application as well. So those are the ones that are going to be reviewed this year. So this time next year, we will probably be discussing the recommendations on a few of those, and maybe some of the geoparks that applied last year and had a deferred application. We might hear more on them. So just a reminder, we've had the approval of the 16 new geoparks. We don't need to wait for any more votes or approvals. That is approved. So congratulations to them. We congratulate all the 16 new geoparks. And of course, as is normal, we expect that maybe in a few weeks' time, there'll be a formal new invitation event to welcome the 16 new geoparks run by the fabulous people at the Global Geopark Network. So if you'd like to find out more about the 16 new geoparks and hear a little bit from each of them as they present themselves, rather than me presenting them, hear from them much better than hearing from me, then keep an eye out for the Global Geopark Network's event to welcome those 16 new geoparks into the Global Geopark family. With that, the business of today is done. UNESCO Executive Board is in adjournment for its lunch, but they've done all of the geopark things, so we are done for the day on this 2025 Geoparks live stream, bringing you all of the live coverage. Here at Charnwood Forest Aspiring Geopark, we're very much looking forward to hopefully joining the UNESCO family in the next few years. And if you have any questions for us or would like to know more, please do check out our website at charnwoodforest.org, and you can contact us if you have any questions. Thank you once more for joining us. It's been lovely to guide you through this year's 221st session of the UNESCO Executive Board, bringing you all of the updates on everything geopark related from UNESCO. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future for another live stream, making the UNESCO Executive Board accessible to everyone.